Onion Cycles podcast is about thought-provoking, emotion-evoking, action-driven, step-by-step guidance to explore the unique, glorious, and wonderful ocean of your being. Because healing is a multi-layered process of getting to know oneself. Become the self-empowered empiric researcher by discovering the unique layers of your existence. With your host, Nadine Alma, welcome to the Holistic Healing Hub. Welcome to the Onion Cycles podcast. Hello and welcome back, my beloved onions. I am so happy that you decided to spend some of your time with me in this space of hours, in this space of healing and vulnerability. I am absolutely in love with the topic today because for me personally, this was another milestone in the journey of healing and becoming more aware and mindful throughout the day. The overall topic today is ritual and routine. In this story 7, in our episode 7, we will look closely on what the differences are between rituals and routines and why it is important to understand this for our everyday healing journey. In the olden days, as they say, we had festivals or rituals celebrated on specific dates, times, or cycles, such as lunar cycles or seasonal cycles. Those were not always worship rites of organized religions and cults. On the contrary, they're very intimate and personal and sometimes very unique to the community they were held by. Nowadays, in our modern times, as we would call it, business gets in the way of things and busyness overwhelms us and sort of we're filled with stuff and we rush from one date to another, and then from one day to another, and then from one week to another, and month, and suddenly a year is over, and we sort of vow that the next year will be different, but then we're standing with the question, will it though, if we don't put the effort in and the mindfulness and the devotion and dedication to make it so. The reason why I bring up festivals, rituals of the good olden days is that I personally feel we have sort of lost that kind of magic during the year. In my personal environment, there is not very much left of that magic, of that coming together as a family, as a community, and collectively celebrating something extraordinary like the winter solstice or the summer solstice. I believe or I feel like today the year evolves around, maybe starts with the 14th of February for the coupled up beings of our society, and then it proceeds, and then Easter sort of has dissolved itself. When I remember in my childhood, it was quite a big thing. It was similar to Christmas, but I think these days we've lost that sort of. And then the year continues and there's not much to celebrate. I believe that in the US and parts of the UK and surely Ireland, Halloween is quite big. And then in the US we have the Thanksgiving just shortly before the whole world dives, or parts of the world dive into the Christmas season and New Year's, and that's pretty much it. And I feel like there is so much in between that one could bring magic to if one would sort of focus their attention to it, especially if you have children or if you are in a big family. There is so much opportunity during the year to come together and take some of that time back. Because, strangely enough, although every single product out there promises us that this saves time and this goes faster so we have more time for other things, I strangely experienced the difference, the absolute opposite, where time just flies by no matter what technical product I put in place to save time. It slips through my fingers, and as the years have gone by, I sort of realized that the most precious thing on earth to me personally is time. How I spend it, therefore, is such an important part in my own mindfulness practice, in my own awareness, and in my own journey of being in the present, in the now. And therefore, I started implementing my own significant festivals throughout the year, and this has brought me closer to my loved ones, while sharing these events and why they mean something to me, and sharing some of the proceedings I do on these days, while also I feel when you have the opportunity to put your attention to something out of the box, something that means something to you personally, and then enlarging the circle by confiding in your loved ones or celebrating it with your children, that might bring so much joy and magic back. And that then is so significant because we actually decide to just take the time and spend the time how we decide to want to spend it. Maybe you want to share some things you do in your family life with your loved ones. Let the community know the wonderful variety and the spectrum of possibilities that there are out there to celebrate. I remember fondly in my childhood, in my kindergarten days, we used to, around the autumn time, we used to arts and crafts little lanterns, and then would go at dusk, would go around in the park with our lit lanterns, and we would sing and dance, and the parents were invited. And I believe to remember that there was a lot of carrot cake and those typical autumn pumpkin smells and scents and spices in the air, and it was pretty magical because everything was dark except us with our lanterns that we made ourselves, and it was quite magical to remember that. And I believe that it added depth and meaning to my life, and it honored the connection I had, especially in this example with autumn, and with the seasons going by and with the light changing. It might not have been that present as such, with the understanding that I have now. And still, I believe it stuck in my memory for so long and is still very much alive in there, that albeit I didn't realize it was the celebration of the change of a season so much as it was the connection of doing something with other children, doing something with my parents, and having the magic of the spark in children's eyes and the excitement that something is celebrated and something is happening. And it wasn't even related on getting a present, it was just being present. And I feel like that has so much value to add to our very rushed and very hurried lives that we lead now, with so much distraction and so much unimportant stuff that take up our energy and our time. So, big or small, I believe that any kind of festival, celebration, and ritual can contribute to a more wholesome experience in our lifetime. So that also means that, as we have discovered in a prior episode, as soon as the blood pressure is rising, as soon as a mood starts coming in or an overwhelm, that is also a sign that it might be time for you to take five, as I would call that, to withdraw and reframe for yourself. All right, I'm gonna take 3 breaths now. I'm gonna give myself this allotted time to come back to the present, similar as to our last episode, in the traffic lights episode, where we talked about that it is all about cycles and patterns and interrupting a pattern and changing it to contribute to our healthier mindset that contributes to our sustainable and long-term mindset shift. This practice of mindfulness, the take 5 minutes once you realize you're out of alignment, done with intention, becomes your daily routine. And this sort of brings us now back to the topic of today: ritual and routine. First of all, a ritual is when you experience life one moment at a time with deep intention and as many senses involved as possible. So, very mindful, very aware, very much in the present, a celebration of the present, if you will, versus a routine that is sort of a checklist that you work through. It can be done mindfully, obviously, but as soon as it's mindfully, I could also call it a ritual. So the lines are sort of blurry, but it is definitely something that you would basically call a mundane chore versus meaning, learning, joy, and intention. We come back every time to the same trinity: thoughts, emotions, and actions. So, how you think about what you're doing makes the difference. This could be big, like we discussed in the olden days, the festivals or rituals. But today I want to focus on the daily, because only in the daily actions, the ones that we repeat over and over again, we can achieve wholesome wholeness. These daily rituals hold the magic. They are meaningful practices and they are internally motivated. And as always, balance is key. So remember, please stay curious, do your own research, and only take with you what resonates with you. Still, if anything resonates during this episode, don't forget to visit my website www.wonderfinder.org to download your free worksheet. There are lovely exercises on that you are able to download for free and then take time to execute those exercises throughout the week until our next coming together in this beautiful soul tribe that we are here and now. So, with that said, a daily ritual. How can you make a routine a daily ritual? First of all, practice. And then, second of all, basically everything can become a ritual. Like we said, as soon as the practice of this routine has a deep intention and involves senses and awareness and mindfulness, it becomes a ritual. And the ritual is here to anchor us and to bring us to the present moment so that our thoughts are not distracting our emotions to stay stuck in the past, such as feeling depressed. So a ritual really serves you and serves you in the sense of how you need it to serve you. Again, it's unique, it's intimate, it's personal. So try to make it your own. However, there are obviously numerous possibilities to start implementing the practice of turning routines into rituals. I'd say that every single one of us has opportunity to do this. This might be in the office or even in the shop. Every one of us drives to work or rides the bus or train or any public transport to work. Most of us may drink some hot beverage before we start our work. Most of us have a lunchtime, also an after work period, and all of us have a morning, all of us have an evening, and everything in between can serve you as a transformational point. So, to give an example of what to realistically implement to change from a routine to a ritual, could be any mundane task that you do on a daily basis, and especially those that you don't like doing. Because sometimes, if you experience something that initially you really don't like, it may change 180 after you experience it through the lens of mindfulness and through the lens of all the senses available to you, and through the lens of giving yourself the time, having the time, taking the time to diving into the sensations that even daily ordinary things bring with them. So let's say you don't like doing the laundry that comes out of the dryer or that comes off of the line. It's a big pile of laundry in front of you. The goal of this exercise, though, isn't to get through the pile as soon as possible, make it as fast as possible. It is to reframe, and reframing takes time. So it might take you 1, 2, 3, 100 times over to give yourself a countdown of 10 minutes in which you very mindfully approach folding laundry from a totally different point of view. Meaning that you light a candle, you may want to put on some lovely soothing music or even upbeat music that you very much use to put yourself into a good mood and have a good time. It really should enhance your experience, so you need to decide what contributes to that. And then you really go into your senses. And the reason why I said set your timer for 10 minutes is because this practice is for first timers quite hard. Is getting out of that hustle. I don't have time to take time to learn this. I don't want to. It is hard to adjust to a new rhythm. Be patient with oneself and let the mind struggle with this slowing down and with this very intentional folding of the laundry, or washing the dishes, or tasting the first bit of coffee in the morning, smelling the coffee that comes out of the coffee machine rather than just gulping down the mug and having a second because you're so tired. It is a practice that demands a lot of attention and intention, yet I want to emphasize that it is so worth it. And that, as said, if you make it your own practice and if you try out different things that work for you, then this becomes an anchor point during your day where you snap out of the mundane and snap out of the normal, everyday hectic, everyday stress, everyday overwhelm, everyday to do, have to, need to, should do. This practice will enhance your life experience. It will enhance your overall mood. That much I can promise you. And just to give a little bit of how the practice of making routines become rituals has developed over my personal years. I created a morning routine, and that took me 7 years because I am no early bird, I can tell you that much. But this routine makes me slightly, not quite, but more eager to get up in the mornings. And then I have a bedtime routine that helped me increase my sleeping pattern so very much and makes me cherish the time, the downtime, the slowing down time to get to bed and appreciate a good night's sleep. Versus me before these rituals, I was basically dreading to go to sleep and would stay up very late to avoid going to sleep, even though I knew I would regret it in the morning when I couldn't get my eyes open and would want to do anything but roll out of bed. So, with all of that said, I do hope that this episode did spark some thought process, some train of thought, maybe even some call to action to try out something in your daily life that you might want to transform from a mere routine to a magical ritual. I would love to hear of your endeavors and adventures doing it, of your thoughts. And as always, I want to open my heart to all of you. I thank you so very much that you decided to spend your time here in this place, in this space. I do hope that you resonated with some of it, that you could take away something beneficial that you can implement in your life, that you can take with you into your daily life. I open my heart to all of you out there, and I want to say how very much I appreciate you in your everyday life, doing the best you can with all of your heart and all of your soul in this experience that we call life. I send you all the love I have to give. I see you and I understand you and I love you. Shine bright and boldly and be fiercely and uniquely you. Until the next episode, my beloved onions.